Being calm is supposed to protect you. That's what we're taught. Stay composed, don't react, keep your center, but around certain people, your calm becomes their advantage. Your non-reaction becomes their permission. Your composure becomes their control. This isn't about losing your temper. This is about understanding why your best psychological defense can become someone else's most effective tool. You've probably experienced this. Someone pushes a boundary, you stay calm, you don't escalate, you handle it with grace. And somehow the situation gets worse over time. The pressure increases, the demands become more frequent, the violations become more subtle but more invasive, and you're left wondering why your measured response didn't create the respect you expected. This creates a specific kind of confusion. You're doing what psychology tells you to do. You're managing your emotional state. You're not feeding drama, you're being the adult in the room. But the dynamic keeps shifting in their favor. The pattern repeats. They test. You remain calm, they learn, they escalate, you stay composed, they advance. Here's what's actually happening. Calm without clear limits becomes information. Your non-reaction teaches them that pressure has no cost. When you stay calm in response to boundary violations, you're not just managing your emotions, you're sending data. You're communicating that their behavior is tolerable, that escalation is safe, that there are no consequences for testing your limits. This isn't conscious on their part, it's conditioning. They apply pressure, nothing happens. The pressure worked. They remember this. They repeat it. Your calm becomes their green light. Think about it this way. If someone touches a hot stove, they pull their hand back immediately. The cost is clear. The feedback is instant. They don't touch it again. But if someone pushes your boundary and you respond with calm acceptance, there's no cost. No feedback, no reason to stop. In fact, there's reason to continue. This creates a fundamental misunderstanding about what your calm represents. You experience it as self-control, as emotional regulation, as taking the high road. They experience it as permission, as acceptance, as an invitation to continue. The gap between your intention and their interpretation becomes the space where manipulation operates. You're trying to maintain your center. They're learning your tolerance levels. Every calm response provides them with data about your limits. How much pressure you'll absorb before reacting. How many violations you'll accept before pushing back. How far they can go while maintaining your cooperation. This information becomes their advantage. They're not guessing about your boundaries. They're not wondering if their approach will work. Your calm responses have already taught them exactly what they can expect from you. The conditioning happens gradually. The first boundary test receives a calm response. They note this. The second test pushes slightly further. Another calm response. They adjust their approach accordingly. Each interaction refines their understanding of what you'll tolerate. Your emotional regulation becomes their behavioral map. Every interaction is an information exchange. You're both learning about what works and what doesn't, what's acceptable and what isn't, what has consequences and what doesn't. When you remain calm in the face of manipulation, you're providing very specific information. You're teaching them that their tactics are effective, that their approach is working, that they can continue without resistance. This creates a feedback loop. They test your boundaries, you stay calm. They interpret this as acceptance. They increase the pressure, you remain composed. They learn that escalation is safe. Your calm isn't protecting you, it's training them. Consider how this plays out in real time. Someone makes an unreasonable request. You don't want to cause conflict, so you stay calm and comply. They learn that unreasonable requests work. Next time, the request is slightly more unreasonable, you stay calm again. The pattern establishes itself. Or someone violates your time, shows up late, cancels last minute, expects you to accommodate their schedule. You handle it gracefully, you don't make a scene. They learn that your time is flexible, that their convenience matters more than your plans. Here's where it gets more complex. The escalation isn't dramatic. It's gradual, it's subtle. It's designed to stay just below your threshold for reaction. They're not trying to make you explode. They're trying to find the exact level of pressure you'll tolerate while remaining calm. And once they find that level, they maintain it. Sometimes they increase it slightly, testing for your new threshold. This is why your calm can become dangerous. It gives them precise information about your tolerance levels. It helps them calibrate their approach. It teaches them exactly how much they can get away with. Your composure becomes their roadmap. Think about water wearing down stone. It's not violent. It's not dramatic. It's consistent pressure over time. Your calm response to boundary violations works the same way. It allows consistent pressure to continue without resistance. The escalation follows a predictable pattern. First, they test a small boundary. Your calm response signals that this level of pressure is acceptable. They maintain this level until it becomes normal. Then they test slightly beyond it. Each escalation is small enough to seem reasonable, small enough to make you question whether it's worth reacting to, small enough to make you feel like you might be overreacting if you push back. This is the genius of gradual escalation. It operates below the threshold of obvious violation. Each individual incident seems manageable. The cumulative effect is what creates the real impact. Your calm response to each small escalation teaches them that the new level is acceptable. What would have seemed unreasonable 6 months ago now feels normal. What would have triggered a reaction before now gets absorbed without comment. The escalation isn't just about increasing pressure. It's about expanding the range of what you'll tolerate. Each calm response moves your baseline slightly. Over time, your tolerance for manipulation increases while your sensitivity to it decreases. This creates a psychological environment where increasingly problematic behavior feels normal, where your standards gradually adjust downward, where your expectations of respectful treatment slowly erode. The most insidious part is that this happens so gradually you don't notice it. There's no dramatic moment where you suddenly realize you're tolerating behavior you never would have accepted before. The shift happens incrementally, one calm response at a time. But the escalation operates on multiple levels simultaneously. It's not just about the frequency of violations. It's about the intensity, the invasiveness, the presumption. Each dimension increases at its own pace, creating a complex pattern of expanding control. Consider how this works with time violations. First, they're 5 minutes late. You stay calm. This becomes normal. Then 10 minutes. Another calm response. This becomes the new normal. Then 15 minutes, but with an excuse. Your calm acceptance teaches them that excuses eliminate consequences. Soon they're not just late. They're canceling with short notice. But they provide reasons that seem legitimate. Work emergencies, family obligations, traffic. Your calm responses teach them that reasonable explanations justify unreasonable behavior. The pattern expands. They start assuming your availability, making plans that involve you without asking, changing arrangements without consultation. Each violation builds on the previous ones, using your calm responses as evidence that this level of presumption is acceptable. The escalation becomes self-reinforcing. Your calm response to small violations creates permission for larger ones. Your acceptance of larger violations normalizes even bigger ones. The boundary keeps moving, but so gradually that each new position feels reasonable compared to the last. This is how someone can go from occasionally running late to completely disregarding your time, and each step feels like a natural progression. Your calm responses at each stage taught them that the next level of violation would also be tolerated. Calm, non-reaction, and composure can quietly invite escalation. This isn't about your emotional regulation being wrong. It's about understanding that your response is being interpreted as permission. When you don't react to manipulation, you're not just avoiding conflict. You're providing feedback. You're confirming that their approach is working. You're encouraging them to continue. This recognition can be uncomfortable. It challenges the idea that staying calm is always the right choice. It suggests that sometimes your best intentions can work against your best interests. While you're staying calm externally, something else is happening internally. You're absorbing the pressure, you're managing the stress, you're containing the impact. This creates a specific kind of psychological cost. You're doing the emotional labor of maintaining peace while they're applying pressure without consequence. You're working harder to manage the dynamic while they're benefiting from it. Over time, this teaches you to tolerate more, to accept more, to accommodate more. Your threshold for what's acceptable gradually shifts. What would have bothered you before becomes normal. What would have triggered a response before becomes manageable. You're not just staying calm. You're training yourself to accept increasing levels of manipulation. This is how calm becomes compliance, how composure becomes surrender, how your emotional regulation becomes their control mechanism. The internal cost operates on multiple levels. There's the immediate cost of suppressing your natural reactions. When someone violates your boundaries, your instincts signal that something is wrong. Staying calm requires overriding these signals, dismissing your own internal warnings. This creates a split between your conscious response and your unconscious recognition. Part of you knows something isn't right. Another part of you maintains that everything is fine. This internal contradiction requires energy to maintain. Over time, this split becomes habitual. You learn to distrust your instincts, to question your perceptions, to override your natural responses in favor of maintaining calm. Your internal warning system becomes less reliable because you've trained yourself to ignore it. The psychological cost compounds. Each time you stay calm in response to manipulation, you're not just managing that single interaction. You're reinforcing a pattern of self-suppression. You're teaching yourself that your comfort matters less than avoiding conflict. This creates a gradual erosion of self-advocacy. Your ability to recognize when you're being mistreated becomes compromised. Your willingness to defend your own interests decreases. Your tolerance for discomfort increases while your expectation of respectful treatment decreases. The most significant cost is the loss of clarity about what's acceptable. When you consistently respond to boundary violations with calm acceptance, the line between acceptable and unacceptable behavior becomes blurred. Your standards adjust to accommodate their behavior rather than their behavior adjusting to meet your standards. This internal adjustment happens so gradually that you don't notice it. You don't wake up one day and realize you're tolerating behavior you never would have accepted before. Instead, your tolerance expands incrementally, one calm response at a time. The cost isn't just about what you're accepting, it's about what you're losing. Your ability to recognize manipulation becomes compromised. Your confidence in your own perceptions decreases. Your willingness to trust your instincts diminishes. You become less attuned to your own needs and more focused on managing their reactions. Less aware of your own discomfort and more concerned with maintaining their comfort. Less protective of your own boundaries and more accommodating of their violations. Understanding this dynamic reveals something important about power and leverage. When you stay calm in response to manipulation, you're not maintaining equal footing. You're shifting the leverage in their favor. They get to apply pressure without cost. You get to manage the pressure without support. They get to test boundaries without consequences. You get to maintain boundaries without enforcement. This isn't sustainable. It's not balanced. It's not protective. Your calm is supposed to give you power, control over your emotions, control over your responses, control over the dynamic. But when it's not paired with clear limits, it gives them power instead. They learn that you won't escalate, that you won't create consequences, that you won't make their behavior costly. This knowledge becomes their advantage. Recognizing this pattern changes how you see calm. It's not inherently protective. It's not automatically powerful. It's information. And like all information, it can be used for or against you. The question isn't whether to stay calm. The question is what your calm is communicating, what it's teaching, what it's enabling. When your calm is paired with clear boundaries, it's powerful. When it's paired with consistent consequences, it's protective. When it's paired with enforced limits, it's effective. But when your calm exists in isolation, without structure, without limits, without cost for violations, it becomes their tool instead of yours. This understanding doesn't come with easy answers. It doesn't provide simple solutions. It reveals the complexity of psychological dynamics and the unintended consequences of well-intended responses. Your calm isn't wrong, but it's not enough. And recognizing this gap between intention and impact is where real understanding begins. The tension remains, the pattern continues, but now you see it clearly.